Hi everybody, sanibonani. Welcome to my channel. Igama lami nguNtando Mdletshe, and on this channel sikhuluma ngama-reality TV shows, ama-celebrities kanye nama-YouTubers. If it is your first time joining me today and you really like my content, there is a subscribe button la ngezansi and a notification bell. Please press both. Kanti-ke futhi you can also support the channel by liking the video. It's free to like the video. There's a join button for those who want to join the membership. Kanti-ke there's a thanks button if you want to thank the channel Gemali. Anyway, you guys, listen. Finally, I was able to watch in full these two interviews here by Gogo Skhotheni on her podcast called The Venting Podcast. Let me make a confession, you guys. When Gogo Skhotheni announced that she was going to be doing a podcast, I really did not think it was going to be as good as it is. Okay, I was like, here we go again, another podcast. I did not think that it was going to be as good. It's really good, you guys. It's good. Okay. If you haven't been watching, you need to check those interviews out. She is a good interviewer. Okay. You feel like she's sitting with someone at her house having a conversation, but at the same time, she's able to get out all of the information that you need from the people that she's talking to. It's really nice when someone is interviewing people, but it sounds like someone that is really genuinely interested in their lives. She follows them on social media. She knows the conflicts that they've had with certain people. So she always just gets the right answers. So I'm loving a podcast called Gogo Skhotheni. She's one of the best interviewers here on YouTube, actually. I'm enjoying her interviews so much. Okay. So obviously, not so long ago, she did interview Cyan. I had watched that interview and didn't finish it, but I had to finish it today. But because I wanted to be fair, because I wanted to uh, understand both the ladies, Seema kanye naye uSayen. Okay. And then she also did an interview with Seema. And we know that they have had that conflict between the two of them because they were friends for a very short period and then they had a falling out. Okay. And since they are both internet famous, obviously it was a big thing that they had beef, they had a falling out. They're no longer friends, you guys. I don't know, because I had to go back when it came to Cyan to see if Gogo Skhotheni did ask her about the conflict between her and Seema, because I thought maybe I missed it, but I didn't see it anywhere where she's asking Usayan about what's going on with her and Seema. But she does ask Usim. I don't know why she made that decision to not ask Cyan. Maybe Cyan had said that that is not something that she's willing to talk about in the interview. Maybe they edited it out. I did not see it, you guys. Did I miss something? Okay. So for Cyan, she did not talk about the conflict between her and Zema, but Zema did talk about it. Overall, you guys, listen, I'm somebody that is not really on TikTok like that, you know. And so for me, especially Usima, knowing her, I know her from things being reported about her. And those things will be reported here on YouTube about what's happening with her. But a lot of the times it's not something that is positive. When someone is trending and all of that, it's not normally something positive. So this interview gave me a chance to get to know her a little bit more. And I think for Cyan, it was different because I had watched her interview when she was on MacG podcast and chill. So it was just an addition to that. It was getting to know her a little bit better. Okay. But overall, you guys, these are very young girls. Okay. I constantly have to remind myself of that. And, even when it comes to science, because a lot of the times people would be so heated by the things that she says, especially when it comes to relationships and it comes to intimacy and being paid for that and all of that, that it's almost like we forget that these people are very, very young, and it's almost like we expect that they are going to say something that we, as very grown up people, because some of us are very old, that we expect that these people that are in their early 20s are going to say something that all of a sudden we are going to take and live by, you know. And we forget that these are young people that they're still trying to figure life out. Okay, so some of the things that they say, really, it's just crazy things that you like. Listen, like in your 30s, you will know for sure that what you're saying right now is crazy. Okay, so a lot of the times that's how I feel about the things that Usain would be saying. Okay, and but with the interview with Gogo Skhotheni, I felt like she's a nice person, you guys, overall. You just get, she's pleasant, you know. And I know it was strange for me, especially when we got to the part where she was talking about the termination of her pregnancy and how she lost her baby. Like, honestly, for me, how it almost seemed like she's not as sensitive talking about that topic. That was strange for me. But I also felt like maybe it's because she's trying to detach from that event and not feel so emotional about it. But I don't want to lie, you guys. It's strange how she talks about it, something that is that sensitive, the way that she just talks about it as if she's talking about having a cereal in the morning, putting milk in the bowl, and then putting your cereal and then eating, like something like that. I'm like, I can't get over how she talks about that. But overall, I really feel like when Cyan is being interviewed, you feel like she's a pleasant person. Of course, there are things that, the way that she lives, I don't agree with everything that she does. But guys, we have to remember, I'm at 2000. Sometimes in Pila by Pila is like, okay, are we living in the same world? So we have to consider that as well because they are young. Okay. And then when it came to Seema as well, you guys, it really was a pleasant interview too. I really was happy to get to know her. She is a pleasant young lady. Both of them, you guys, seem to be a little bit more matured than their age, but at the same time, some of the things that they say, you can see that it's because of the age. They are still young, and you're like, okay, you are still going to understand that better when it comes to life. So, but they are both pleasant to listen to. They are very respectful. They had a very respectful conversation with Ugogo Skhotheni. I like how respectful she is to her guests as well, you guys. And yes. So when it came to now her talking to Usima about, her relationship with Cyan, which, like I said, I don't understand why that question was not asked when Cyan came around, because that beef had already happened. Okay. So Sima answers questions very respectfully, you guys. I did not feel at any point that she was trying to throw shade at Cyan. I did not feel like that. I did not feel like she still has hard feelings when it came to their relationship. She was trying to explain her side of the story. And I do feel like when you are friends with somebody and there is a falling out when it comes to the friendship, there's never going to be a time where the story that you tell and the story that your friend tells regarding the breaking of the friendship is going to be exactly the same. It never happens. Like, that happens all the time. Like, you will be asking one person, so what happens, and then they tell their side of the story and you go to the other person, and it might be honestly because for them that is their understanding of how the friendship broke, but it is never ever the same. And when you are not in the position where you want to sit down and fix the friendship, then you're never gonna be in a position where you understand each other and be like, no, actually, when I said this is what I meant. When I walked away, I was walking away because of this and not because of this, which is what you thought. So the story is never really going to be the same. And I think sometimes the problem happens where every time the other person tells their side of the story, you want to change the perspective. You want to almost control how people feel about the story that has just been told, instead of letting the other person tell their side of the story. Because if somebody asks me my side of the story, I can tell my side of the story. If they ask my friend her side of the story, she can tell her side of the story. But I have to understand that it's never going to be the same. We're never going to tell that same story. And I think this is what is happening with the two of them. They had a friendship, which I believe that both of them appreciated at the time, but for whatever reasons that are different, because the reasons that Cyan is giving, because she says that Seema was obsessed with her brother. That's the reason that the friendship broke. And Seema is saying that Cyan was moody, those reasons are not the same, but I feel like they have to get to a point where they just understand that their stories are different, their understanding of how the friendship broke is different, but the friendship has broken already. There is not a fixing of a friendship. Nobody wants to fix a friendship. There's never going to be a time where somebody says, listen, I was the one that was all the way wrong in this friendship, and I shouldn't have done what I did and all of that. Everybody wants to put themselves in a positive light when it comes to the ending of the friendship. But overall, even with Sima's interview, you guys, I did not feel like Sima had an intention to maybe insult Cyan or provoke her. I feel like she spoke what she believes is her truth when it comes to the relationship. I still doubted whether she was telling the truth about her having anything to do with Cyan's brother. But I also did understand that hardly ever is anybody going to come on an interview and admit to having an affair with somebody when they were still in a relationship. So I understood that. But I did not feel like her intention, Usima, was to provoke Usayen in any way. And honestly, you guys, I don't feel like Usain did go and watch the interview. If she has watched an interview, maybe she watched it after the lashing out. Because had she watched it, she would have received probably the energy that we received when we watched that interview, Seema, that it's not that she was coming for you. She did not even say that. Usain lied, but she denied the fact that she was in a relationship with her brother. And I feel like sometimes that's where the followers come in because, like she said, Usima, she was being told that Sima was saying that she lied. She was probably imagining Sima saying, listen, that woman lied. This is not what happened, which is not exactly what happened in the interview. Okay. So I do feel like had she watched the interview, her energy would have been different. She would have received what Usima said different. Maybe she wouldn't even have lashed out, and we wouldn't even have been at a point now where Sima felt like, you know what, I have had it with Cyan. Now I'm going to come for her. Because when she finally decided that she was going to come for Cyan, she came for her. Okay. People say here that, this person dragged that person and that person. Sometimes you'll be looking at that drag and you'll be like, this is not a drag. Where the word drag comes from. It comes from somebody grabbing your hair and then dragging you all over the place when you get into a fight. That's what a drag is. Okay. So I felt like Sima did like legit a drag, and it wouldn't have gotten to that place honestly had it not been for the fact that Cyan misunderstood the intention of what Sima was saying in Gogo Skhotheni's interview. It wouldn't have gotten to that place. And the thing about being dragged by somebody that was your friend at any point is that people believe whatever it is that they say. If people believed that you are somebody that sleeps around, once your friend said yes, she actually does sleep around, then people believe it because this is somebody that was very close to you. I feel like it's unfortunate that it got to that point because I really feel like both the ladies handled themselves very politely during the interviews. Nobody said anything offensive during the interviews, and I felt like had Cyan watched Sima's interview, she would have probably seen that there was no bad intention when it came to Sima doing that interview, and it would have ended there. And everything else that happened after that, with them dragging each other, and even the ex-boyfriend coming in to try and defend, and then he is attacked too, that whole thing wouldn't have happened. I feel like it's very important for influencers to learn to go to the source sometimes when followers come to them and say, did you see what this person is? I've seen it even when I'm watching lives on Instagram. Like a person would be on a live and then a viewer would come in the comment section and say, did you hear this person say this and this and this? And then the person doing the live would go off based on what the follower is saying. And then I'm like, but you haven't gone and watched. Maybe that's not what they meant. and they're just telling you a little bit of what they say. You don't have the context of the whole thing that the person said. And then the person will go off, and then people are recording their life, and then the life is now here on YouTube because you went off. And then maybe later on you go and watch what they were trying to say in the original video, whatever it is, then you realize it wasn't as bad. Okay, listen, viewers like fights, viewers, followers, all of them. They like drama as much as when people are going on each other. Sometimes there are people that will say, listen, you guys, I'm so tired of drama on YouTube. I'm so tired of drama with these influencers. But a big group of followers and viewers, they enjoy the back and forth. And so sometimes when it's quiet, they like to cause it, because honestly, that interview was such a great interview between Gogo Skhotheni no Seema. It shouldn't have caused as much drama as it did online, but it did, because everything was misinterpreted. Okay. But I want to take this time just to say, you guys, listen, I want to give Gogo Skhotheni flowers when it comes to this podcast, because at some point I thought that she was only going to be doing izangoma and or things that had to do only with spirituality. And at some point I was going to lose interest, but it's like with every single guest that she's bringing in, it's getting more and more interesting, and I appreciate that podcast. It's like every week now I'm looking forward to an episode. Anyway, you guys, that's all that I wanted to talk about when it came to these two interviews. It was great interviews, by the way. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like it before uphume, share it with your friends, with your family, and even with strangers in Ntando. Kakhulu.